For many enthusiasts, the 1960s represent the golden age of British motoring. It was a decade that produced some of the most admired automobiles ever to leave a British factory. Cars such as the Mini, the Jaguar E-Type, and the Aston Martin DB5 became symbols of innovation, style, and engineering excellence. Their influence extended far beyond Britain, helping establish the country as one of the world's leading automotive nations. But the story of the decade wasn't entirely one of success. Behind the famous icons were numerous vehicles that failed to meet expectations. Some suffered from questionable engineering decisions. Others were undermined by poor manufacturing standards, disappointing performance, or reliability problems that frustrated owners from the very beginning. While the great successes are remembered fondly, many motorists of the era spent their weekends dealing with breakdowns, corrosion, and costly repairs. Today on British Cars Untold, we're counting down 10 British cars from the 1960s that earned reputations for all the wrong reasons. Some arrived with huge promises and ambitious designs. Others simply couldn't compete with changing customer expectations. By the time we reach number 1, we'll encounter a vehicle that many historians regard as one of the biggest missed opportunities in British automotive history. Let's begin the countdown. Number 10. Sunbeam Rapier, Series V. When the Sunbeam Rapier Series V appeared at the start of the 1960s, it looked like exactly the sort of car many buyers wanted. Its sharp lines and sporty image suggested lively performance, while the established Sunbeam name inspired confidence among motorists seeking something more exciting than an ordinary family saloon. Unfortunately, the driving experience struggled to match the appearance. Power came from a modest 1.6-liter engine that never quite delivered the performance many expected. Drivers attracted by the car's sporting looks often found acceleration less impressive than anticipated. On paper, the figures seemed respectable, but out on the road, the Rapier rarely felt as energetic as its styling implied. Long-term durability also became a concern. Like many British vehicles of the era, corrosion appeared sooner than owners hoped. Rust frequently attacked bodywork and structural areas, turning what seemed like a stylish investment into an expensive maintenance project. The gearbox created additional headaches. Reports of transmission problems became increasingly common, with some owners experiencing gears disengaging unexpectedly during normal driving. While not always dangerous, the issue was certainly irritating and did little to inspire confidence. As stories of mechanical trouble spread, enthusiasm for the model began to fade. The Rapier remained attractive to look at, but many buyers concluded that appearance alone could not compensate for its shortcomings. And there were far more disappointing cars still to come. Number 9. Austin A40 Farina. Austin A40 Farina arrived carrying the prestige of Italian styling at a price that ordinary British families could afford. Designed by the famous Pininfarina studio, it stood apart from many domestic competitors and appeared refreshingly modern for its time. Yet once drivers spent time behind the wheel, the glamour quickly wore off. Its small engine delivered limited performance, making everyday driving feel harder work than it should have been. Climbing hills, joining faster traffic, and overtaking slower vehicles often required patience and careful planning. Even by economy car standards, the A40 sometimes felt underpowered. Cold weather comfort was another weak point. Owners regularly complained about an ineffective heating system that struggled to keep cabins warm during Britain's damp winters. Fogged windows and chilly interiors became familiar frustrations for many drivers. Road manners also attracted criticism. The rear suspension could react unpredictably on wet surfaces, occasionally producing sudden oversteer that caught motorists off guard. Given the frequency of rain on British roads, this wasn't a problem owners encountered only occasionally. While the attractive styling helped draw customers into dealerships, many discovered that the mechanical package beneath the elegant bodywork failed to live up to expectations. Over time, newer and more capable models pushed the A40 further into the background. Its appearance may have been Italian, but its shortcomings were impossible to hide. Number 8. Wolseley 1100. Launched in the mid-1960s, the Wolseley 1100 was intended to offer buyers a more luxurious alternative within the British Motor Corporation lineup. Rich interior materials, polished wood accents, and an upmarket badge gave the impression of a compact car with executive ambitions. For a while, that impression worked. Many customers were initially impressed by the car's comfortable ride and refined appearance. However, ownership often revealed a collection of problems that gradually overshadowed its strengths. One of the most troublesome areas was the hydroelastic suspension system. When operating correctly, it provided remarkable comfort for a car of its size. Unfortunately, leaks and pressure-related issues were not uncommon. Owners frequently found themselves facing expensive repairs simply to restore the vehicle's intended ride quality. Electrical reliability became another recurring complaint. Faults affecting gauges, lighting, switches, and other components appeared with frustrating frequency. While few individual failures were catastrophic, the constant attention tested owners' patience. Water ingress also became a familiar issue. Rainwater often found its way into places it clearly shouldn't, leaving carpets damp and creating an unpleasant environment inside the cabin. The Wolseley 1100 promised premium motoring at an affordable price. Too often, buyers discovered that maintaining that experience required more time and money than expected. Number 7. Morris Oxford Series. By the early 1960s, the Morris Oxford had already established itself as a familiar sight across Britain. The Series VI represented another attempt to provide dependable transportation for families seeking practicality above all else. Unfortunately, the design already felt dated almost from the moment it arrived. Its styling struggled to keep pace with changing tastes. While competitors were introducing cleaner and more modern designs, the Oxford appeared rooted in an earlier era. Many buyers viewed it as old-fashioned, long before production ended. Performance did little to improve its reputation. The engine was dependable enough, but increasingly outdated compared to newer rivals. Acceleration was modest. Motorway cruising required patience, and fuel consumption failed to offer any significant advantage. The driving experience itself also attracted criticism. Steering often felt vague, while the suspension allowed considerable body roll during cornering. Drivers searching for confidence or enjoyment behind the wheel rarely found either. Then came the familiar enemy of many British cars: corrosion. Rust frequently attacked vulnerable areas underneath the vehicle, leading to costly repairs and shortening the lifespan of many examples. What was meant to be reliable family transport gradually became known as a car struggling to keep up with the times. Number 6. Humber Sceptre. Mark the Humber Sceptre. Mark I arrived carrying one of Britain's most respected automotive names. Buyers expected a blend of comfort, quality, and performance worthy of the Humber reputation. Initially, the car appeared capable of delivering exactly that. Its well-equipped cabin, attractive styling, and twin carburetor engine suggested a refined vehicle with sporting character. Unfortunately, expectations were set higher than the car could realistically achieve. Despite its marketing, performance remained merely average. Drivers expecting something genuinely exciting often discovered a vehicle that felt competent rather than exceptional. Build quality also failed to meet the standards associated with the Humber badge. Interior trim, pieces, sometimes loosened prematurely, while wear appeared sooner than many owners anticipated. Road testers of the period frequently compared the Sceptre unfavorably with competing models that offered better value or superior driving characteristics. Braking performance, in particular, drew criticism from reviewers and owners alike. Electrical faults further damaged confidence. Minor issues accumulated over time, creating the impression that quality control had not received the attention buyers expected. For a company built on prestige, the Sceptre represented a noticeable step in the wrong direction. Number 5. Victor F. The Vauxhall. Victor FB entered the market, determined to improve upon the reputation of its predecessor. Vauxhall assured buyers that lessons had been learned and significant improvements had been made. Sadly, many motorists remained unconvinced. Corrosion continued to haunt the model. Despite revised bodywork and various improvements, rust remained a persistent and expensive problem. Wheel arches, doors, sills, and structural sections often deteriorated faster than owners expected. Repair specialists frequently encountered severe hidden corrosion, lurking beneath seemingly presentable bodywork. What appeared to be a minor issue could quickly develop into a major restoration project. The interior offered little compensation. Some buyers felt the materials lacked durability, with seats, trim, and fittings showing signs of wear relatively early in the vehicle's life. The column-mounted gear lever also divided opinion. Intended to increase cabin space, it often felt awkward and imprecise compared with traditional floor-mounted systems. As the years passed, concerns regarding reliability and durability continued to follow the victor. Rather than rebuilding confidence in the brand, it reinforced many of the criticisms that had already damaged Vauxhall's reputation. No.4. The Triumph Herald arrived with considerable fanfare at the end of the 1950s and remained a popular sight throughout the following decade. Its attractive styling, designed by Giovanni Michelotti, helped it stand out immediately from the competition. Many buyers fell in love with the Herald at first sight. However, living with the car often exposed weaknesses hidden beneath its charming appearance. The separate chassis design simplified manufacturing and maintenance, but it's also introduced rigidity issues. Drivers frequently noticed flexing over rough roads, creating a less solid feel than many rivals offered. The suspension generated even greater controversy. Early models used a swing axle arrangement that could produce abrupt changes in handling characteristics. Under certain conditions, the rear of the car could become unexpectedly lively, particularly during enthusiastic cornering. Motoring journalists of the era regularly highlighted the issue, warning drivers to treat the vehicle with respect. Corrosion created additional long-term problems. Moisture trapped between body panels and structural components often remained hidden until substantial damage had already developed. Although later improvements addressed several shortcomings, the Herald's early reputation was shaped by engineering compromises that many owners found difficult to ignore. 3. Bond Equipe GT. When Bond introduced the Equipe GT in the early 1960s, the concept appeared highly appealing. Here was a stylish British coupe offering sporty looks without the expense normally associated with grand touring cars. On paper, it sounded like an excellent idea. In practice, the results proved less convincing. Much of the vehicle relied on Triumph Herald mechanical components, meaning several of the Herald's limitations carried over into the Equipe. Performance remained modest, while handling failed to deliver the sporting experience suggested by the dramatic bodywork. Manufacturing quality varied noticeably from car to car. The fiberglass construction eliminated rust concerns, but inconsistent assembly standards created new frustrations for owners. Long-distance journeys highlighted additional weaknesses. Wind noise frequently entered the cabin, making motorway travel more tiring than expected. Interior refinement also lagged behind many competing coupes. Potential customers were often drawn to the attractive design, but ultimately chose alternatives, offering better quality, stronger performance, or greater practicality. As a result, the Equipe GT never achieved the popularity Bond had hoped for, and remains one of the more overlooked disappointments of the decade. Number 2. Reliant Regal. Few vehicles from the 1960s were as distinctive as the Reliant Regal. Its three-wheel layout instantly separated it from virtually every other vehicle on British roads. For certain buyers, its unique classification offered practical advantages. Yet the unusual design also introduced compromises that many motorists found difficult to accept. The single front wheel handled steering responsibilities, creating driving characteristics unlike those of conventional four-wheeled cars. While experienced owners often adapted successfully, newcomers sometimes struggled with the Regal's behavior. Poor weather amplified those concerns. Wet roads demanded additional caution, and abrupt maneuvers could quickly expose the limitations of the design. Safety was another area of criticism. Although the fiberglass body resisted corrosion effectively, many motorists questioned the level of protection it offered during serious accidents. Performance remained modest throughout much of the model's life. Drivers often felt the engine was working harder than the vehicle's speed suggested, particularly when tackling hills or carrying passengers. Its affordability and fuel economy attracted a loyal customer base, but the compromises required elsewhere prevented it from achieving broader appeal. Remarkably, despite all those shortcomings, one British car still managed to earn the top spot on our countdown. No.1. Hillman Imp. No.1 sits a vehicle that perfectly illustrates how ambition alone cannot guarantee success. The Hillman Imp began life as one of the most promising automotive projects Britain had ever undertaken. Developed as a modern challenger to the Mini, it incorporated advanced engineering features, innovative packaging, and a lightweight aluminium engine derived from respected racing technology. Everything pointed toward a bright future. Unfortunately, reality unfolded very differently. A major challenge emerged from the decision to build the car at the newly created Linwood plant in Scotland. Although the factory represented an important economic initiative, establishing efficient automobile production, there proved far more difficult than anticipated. Quality problems appeared almost immediately. Owners reported overheating engines, failed head gaskets, carburetor troubles, and a variety of mechanical faults. The automatic choke system became a particularly common source of frustration, often requiring attention when drivers simply wanted reliable transportation. Water leaks developed with disappointing regularity, while electrical faults added further inconvenience. What should have been a sophisticated small car gradually earned a reputation for unreliability. The manufacturer invested heavily in efforts to correct the problems, but public confidence had already begun to disappear. Sales weakened, costs increased, and the model struggled to recover from its troubled start. The consequences extended beyond the Imp itself. Its difficulties played a significant role in the decline of its manufacturer and became one of the most famous examples of unrealized potential in British motoring history. The Hillman Imp wasn't merely a disappointing car. It became a lasting reminder of how even the most promising ideas can fail when execution falls short. The 1960s remain one of the most fascinating periods in British automotive history. The decade produced legendary successes that continue to be celebrated around the world. Yet it also delivered vehicles that struggled to live up to their promises. Each car on today's list began with hope, confidence, and ambitious goals. For one reason or another, however, they became remembered more for their flaws than their achievements. And that's what makes automotive history so interesting. For every great success story, there's another tale of missed opportunities and costly mistakes. If you enjoyed this journey through the less glamorous side of Britain's motoring past, don't forget to subscribe to British Cars Untold for more classic car history, forgotten stories, and automotive countdowns. Now we'd like to hear your opinion. Which of these cars would you be least willing to own today? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next video.